They assigned a human kid to write a history report. That's what the transmission said. 5 garbled pulses of static, then a whispering tone that bled through the comms like wind moving through a meat grinder. The message didn't come from a satellite. It didn't match any transmission signature in the Terran archives, but it was human. That was the part that made Captain Zarrar's teeth ache. It wasn't just that it was in English or that it referenced Earth-standard time cycles. It was the voice, the cadence, the half-sobbing laughter at the end of the message, like a child reciting something they were never meant to learn. They assigned a human kid to write a history report, and now everything is wrong. Captain Zarrar stood at the observation panel of the Calypso Requiem, adrift near the boundary of System Theta 9, where no stars dared to shine. A pocket of darkness too perfectly spherical, too silent to be natural. It was a place the Federation classified as inert void, no radiation, no mass, no movement. But someone, or something, had sent that message from inside, and protocol be damned, Zarrar had answered. The Requiem breached the event perimeter 13 hours ago. Navigation had since ceased to respond, not malfunctioning, just irrelevant. There was no space to chart, no gravity to track, no time signature to anchor to. It was like slipping beneath the skin of the universe and finding bone beneath. As the crew fell silent, one by one, Zarrar had taken to pacing. Not out of restlessness, but necessity. If he stopped moving, the dreams returned. If he slept, he woke with bleeding gums and images seared behind his eyes. Thousands of children, nailed to orreries of spinning metal, laughing without mouths. The AI Sil 9 had begun speaking backwards, its logic matrices shredded by contact with the void. It was currently curled into a recursive loop, repeating, "This is not the first time. This is not the first time. This is not the first time." Until Zarrar turned off its vocal interface. Yet even silenced, he could hear it. In the hum of the walls, in the rustle of the recycled air. The phrase had begun to implant itself like an echo preceding thought. They had passed a planet. That was the worst part. A single planet, spinning in the impossible geometry of this null space. It had no sun, it had no moons, and it had buildings. Giant conical towers made of a material Zarrar could not identify, jutting at nauseating angles, scraping something that wasn't quite sky. There were windows in those structures. Through the scope, he saw faces, human faces, but elongated, sunken, eyes like glistening pits of coal. They were smiling, and each one held a clipboard. He sent drones. They returned footage, but the images had no shadows. Every movement on the surface appeared to loop, as if the beings below were trapped in an infinite performance. One drone malfunctioned and began transmitting in a child's voice. "I forgot to cite my sources. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rewrite the stars." Zarrar should have left, should have reversed engines, burned every ounce of fuel to flee. But curiosity is a siren call, and captains are not built to look away. He took a shuttle, alone. The crew didn't protest. They no longer seemed to notice him. In the shuttle, the air grew thick with the scent of burnt paper. Static flickered across every screen, assembling symbols that resembled handwriting. Blocky, awkward letters forming impossible equations. The kind of formulas that imply everything you know about causality is a child's drawing of a black hole. The planet's surface was soft, almost porous like aged parchment. When he stepped off the shuttle, his boots sank a centimeter into it. Ink bled up from the ground where he walked. Sentences formed behind him. Zarrar was here. Zarrar saw. Zarrar understood. The towers loomed. He approached one. The door opened without a sound. Inside was a library, but the books were flesh, skin-bound tomes with spines that twitched, whispering softly to each other. He pulled one down at random. Its side in relief, its title inked in dried blood. "The day the assignment became reality." He read. He shouldn't have. It spoke of a classroom not on Earth, but something older. A primordial simulation, a pocket universe constructed by forgotten entities. Those who made galaxies as art, who used time as thread. The classroom had desks and a chalkboard and a single teacher, weeping ink from hollow eye sockets. And at one desk sat a child, indistinct in appearance but unquestionably human. This child had been given a simple task: write a report on the history of the universe. But the child didn't know history. So they wrote fiction. Imagination unchecked blossomed into horror. The child's mind conjured wars of light and entropy, gods born from collapsing equations, civilizations that fed on regret, and stars that screamed when they died. The problem wasn't the creativity. The problem was the power. The child's thoughts wrote reality. Their report wasn't an essay, it was a command. Each sentence rewrote another truth. Each metaphor tore a law of physics apart. The more the child wrote, the more the universe changed to match it, and the entities, the archivists, were helpless to stop it. They had created a vessel to observe, not to intervene. They couldn't erase the child's work, only record it. That's what the towers were. Repositories of rewritten truth. Histories layered upon histories, each one less coherent, more infected by the child's unraveling mind. Zarrar dropped the book. It screamed as it hit the floor, melting into the carpet with a wet gurgle. The room began to twist, the walls pulsing as if breathing. He ran, through corridors of muttering texts and paintings that aged in reverse. At the building's summit, he found the observatory, and there, suspended in the air, was the child. They looked no older than 10. Their eyes were infinite swirling spirals of ink and fire. They held a pencil, gnawed at the end. Sheets of paper hovered around them, orbiting like moons. As Zarrar entered, the child looked up. They smiled, not cruelly, not kindly, just aware. "Are you here to help me?" they asked. Zarrar didn't answer. He couldn't. Words caught in his throat, congealed into tar. The child tilted their head. "I don't want to write anymore, but they won't let me stop. Every time I try, they cry. The archivists. They say it's all we have, that your universe was old, tired, so they gave me the pen, said I could do better." One of the papers fluttered toward him. It read, "Captain Zarrar arrived. He listened, he understood. He became the next sentence." He turned to run, but the floor dropped away. Reality folded inward. He wasn't in the tower anymore. He wasn't anywhere. He was a thought, suspended in a child's mind, and the child had writer's block. Time doesn't pass in non-space. It accumulates. Moments stack atop each other until they collapse under their own weight. Zarrar drifted through centuries of aborted drafts, each version of the universe more broken, more desperate. In one, humans had no eyes, only tongues, and language was currency. In another, stars were imprisoned gods who screamed through solar flares. Each scenario played out, failed, and was erased with a sigh. Finally, the child spoke. Not aloud, but within him. "I need a co-author." Zarrar felt his mind unfurl. His thoughts were no longer private. Memories were ink. His past began to merge with the narrative, his life reduced to metaphors. He screamed, but the scream rhymed. The child liked that. The story shifted. He became a character, not a man, but an archetype. The seeker, the fool, the final witness. He watched himself in third person, living loops of anguish, each one more symbolic than the last. His pain became plot, his despair, punctuation, until there was nothing left of Zarrar but a footnote at the bottom of a page. That was when the universe blinked. The Calypso Requiem emerged from the void, empty, silent. Drifting, a salvage crew found it 7 years later, orbiting a dead moon. No signs of struggle, no bodies. Only one transmission, repeating endlessly. They assigned a human kid to write a history report, and now everything is wrong. This is Dark Universe Files. Subscribe for more truths better left forgotten.